Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome to some Git tutorials I've decided to make because Git is amazing software. So if you didn't know, Git is essentially software that manages your code base. Essentially it allows multiple people to share the same code base, work on the same code without actually interfering with each other. It's truly amazing software. It's known as a version control system or version control software, or VCS for short. So in order to use Git, Git itself is a program and we're going to have to download it. So go to this website, git-scm.com, and download Git for Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever system you're working on. It doesn't actually matter. Once you've downloaded and installed it, we're going to have a look at an image. And this image here represents very basic how Git actually works. So in order for Git to work is, essentially what you're doing is you're creating pictures of your code at certain points in time and storing those pictures. And then you can actually go back through the pictures, you can go forward through them, you can push the pictures up to a remote repo, which is essentially on a server, and then other people can pull from the remote and do work on the change the pictures around, push more pictures up, you can pull down theirs. It's essentially it's really cool. So snapshotting is what it's called when it takes a snapshot of your code. So the first part of Git is your working directory. That's where you're working on and your Git repository lives. Then you build up your whatever snapshot you want to take. So you build files, you add them to the staging area. So let's say you create 2 files, you made changes to a 3rd file, and you took some stuff out of a 4th file. You'd put all those files into the staging area. Then you commit them. So the staging area is where you build your snapshot, and then you commit them to the repo, and that basically says this picture is now stored. Then when you're done your commit, you push up to the remote. So your remote is now, or you've pushed up to the remote, and now you're on the remote. Then you can fetch and pull and work your way back down again if you need to. So enough about that. Let's actually get into creating some Git. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to place on our drive, and we're going to create a folder inside, wherever. We're going to call this project 1. Okay, so now I've got project 1. We're going to go into it. We're going to right click. Now it's on Windows. It's a little different on Mac, but essentially what you need to do is on Mac or Linux, you need to get your terminal to this window. So you need to change your directory. In Windows, you right click, hit Git Bash. And essentially what this does is it displays a terminal using Git Bash. Now the reason Windows uses a different terminal is because the command on Windows is absolutely shit. Anyway, we're now in our Git Bash and we're in our C Development Git Tutorials Project 1. So let's start by creating a repository. So we type in our command git init, which means initialize repository. Boom. We've initialized our repository, and you'll notice that we've got a .git file or a .git folder. This folder is somewhere you don't want to go very often. The reasoning behind this is that this is where all your snapshots are stored, and if you fuck up files in here, you can create some serious problems. So let's take a snapshot and do a commit. So we're going to add some files. So I'm just going to say new file, whatever it's going to be. And we're going to create a file called homepage HTML. Yep. I'm going to edit with Notepad++ because it's amazing, and we're just feck off Notepad, I don't care. And we're just going to very quickly create some HTML files, just random nonsense. We want to have a couple of lines in each file because Git generally tracks by line. I don't know exactly the details of how Git works. I only know how to use it. Git is a very complicated and amazing bit of software. It's also written in C, which is amazing. So we'll just quickly create some tags and we're done. So if we view this in our browser, we just get a big hello. It's exactly what we want. So let's do our commit. So in order to do a commit, we need to do what's called a git add, and that's going to add it to our staging area. So we're in our working directory. Now we're going to git add and build up our picture or our snapshot in the staging area. type in git add, and we're going to type in homepage.html. We've now added that folder to our Git repository, so Git is now tracking this file. And then what we want to say is git commit -m, and every time you do a commit, you should leave a message. So git commit -m means commit with this message, or commit all the files currently in the staging area with this message, is what you're doing. So we're going to say added homepage file. And now we've committed. We've created one file, or one file has been changed, with 9 insertions. What that means is, if we edit this file, it means the file was 9 lines long. So we've just taken a snapshot of our code and done a commit. Very nice. We've got a little bit of time, so let's create a new file. Actually, we'll just copy this file. And we'll rename it to contact.html. I'm going to edit, and we're just going to change this to contact so we know which file is which. Contact. Okay, I have no idea what the hell is going to even happen there. So I'm just going to say that and save. I don't know what I did there with the keyboard. So we're going to do another git commit. So we're going to say git add. Now, as you can imagine, it's going to get tedious. If you're working on hundreds of files, you're going to need to add them all. You can actually just put in git add --all, which adds all the files in your repo that have changes. It just adds everything. So now you've staged every change you've made. And now we're going to say git commit -m added contact page. And we've just done another commit. Voila. So that's the basics of doing commits. In the next video, we're going to take a look at branching, because branching is one of the most powerful and one of the best features of Git. Actually, no, we're not going to take a look at branching. We're going to take a look at remotes. Then we're going to take a look at actually branching. So all we did in this video was we moved files from our working directory to our staging area to our repo. As you can see, the files haven't actually moved. The .git folder, look at all this nonsense. It's actually just storing all our changes. And later on we'll learn how to do it, but you can actually revert back commits. So let's say you make a bunch of changes and realized, or you started an idea. So you've done your commit, you start building your idea, and you realize, oh god, that doesn't actually work that well. Let's, clear out those changes. You can revert back and then continue on. It's amazing. So essentially all we did was committed files to our repo. The next one we're going to set up a remote on Bitbucket and git push. So anyway guys, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time.